Hi and welcome to BizToday. I am Nazreen Ibrahim. As you know, BizToday is your weekly business show where we get some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs in studio. We investigate the latest business topic of the day so you can take away some key learnings. And then we look at your events diary or just give you a roundup of some interesting ideas we found throughout the course of the week and what we've discovered. So the lineup for this week's episode, we've got Darlene Menzies. She's the CEO and founder of 4 tech companies. 2 very innovative products that she's brought to market, SMEasy and FinFind, and she'll be telling us all about that. We've also got Vani Mudli, chairperson of the Women in Business Forum from the Durban Chamber of Commerce. Now we've got a strong focus on women, commemorating Women's Month, but also just that females in business doing the business and talking to us about how they have that balance between family and business. So she'll be talking to us about that. Then we also have your events diary and a couple of other interesting things that we found along the course of the way. So please stay tuned and get your notes ready, your notepad ready so you can take some notes. On BizToday, we are commemorating women, and Women's Month is one where all women, inspiring figures, come to the fore, and we try to take their stories and give us a better idea of what they're about and how we can take our lives forward. So in studio today, I've got someone who's a real inspiration to me, and I'm hoping that she's going to help me take my journey forward. Darlene Menzies is a technology innovator and serial entrepreneur who founded her first software company in 2004. Darlene has first-hand experience in what it takes to start and grow a business. She understands the difficulties entrepreneurs encounter in trying to raise finance and the enormous challenges they have to overcome to establish a successful enterprise. Over the past 10 years, Darlene has used this experience to develop practical, easy-to-use software tools for small businesses. Some of these include the award-winning SMEasy and FinFind, and we've got her in studio today. Welcome to BizToday, Darlene.
Thanks so much, Naz. I've been looking so forward to seeing you.
I know, we've had a couple of conversations, been back and forth. You've been traveling quite a lot, and so I'm really pleased that you've taken time out of your hectic schedule to join us in the studio today.
Absolute pleasure. As I say, I've been looking forward to seeing you today and being on the show.
Wonderful. So we're going to kick off with your story. I know a little bit about it, but it's one that I know is really going to inspire aspiring entrepreneurs, businessmen and women to take that leap forward and say, yes, I'm going to now own my time. So who is Darlene Menzies?
Well, I thank you for that. I think it's always downhill from there when you've had such a wonderful introduction. But who am I? So I'm an owner of 4 tech businesses, 4 tech startups. I had 15 years corporate IT experience. I was with APSA for about 7 years and then with Business Connections. I had a really good sort of founding with a corporate. Yeah. But then I just realized I had itchy feet, wanted to do something myself. Started 2 businesses which failed initially, so failure is part of success. And after that just started to, from 2004, just started to take off. So yeah, I'm very, I love entrepreneurship. I love creating my own future. I love impacting people's lives. And so my life's just a big adventure at the moment of building business, making money and being able to impact people.
That's incredible. What a journey. It sounds like that's your core passion. It's something that gets you out of bed in the morning. It's not just you're focused on, and we were chatting about this much earlier, focused on making the money. It's about following that dream. You have vested interest in technology and helping small businesses, and you've combined that really well to create some award-winning stuff. But what inspired you initially to become an entrepreneur? What was that defining moment for you?
You know, it's amazing. Entrepreneurship these days is something that's very sort of spoken about and very known. But you know, back in the early 2000s, it wasn't really a word in South Africa that was very frequently used. So I didn't even know I was becoming an entrepreneur. I didn't even know I was an innovator, to be honest. I decided to start a software development business because I came out of IT, and we saw a gap in the market where no NGOs that we were working with had systems. Yeah. And you know, if you don't have a system, you can't report back on the money that you've borrowed from funders. And so we started building a small system for a non-profit I was working with at the time. And cut a long story short, landed up in Harvard University, working for working in Boston, building a system for them for an HIV vaccine project they had. And I thought to myself, if they've got to send over 2 people from Durban to Boston to build a system in Harvard University, there must be a gap in the market where no one's developing customized systems for non-profit organizations. So started the Development House in 2004 and have never looked back since. The Development House is a play on the word development, so it's software development and then socioeconomic development. And like you were just saying, if you follow your passion, the money follows you. I really found that. I think we're very excited now to be positioned many years later in the right place with the right products, but we didn't make those products to make money. We actually made them to solve problems for small business, for unemployed people, and all of a sudden we're amazed to find, well, this is what the market needs, and have started making money off them. So it's very exciting.
So 2004 you started the development house. Prior to that you had solid grounding in the corporate space, which obviously helps to easily identify, okay, what am I going to do, set up the systems for my own business. That was the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. You're now calling the shots, leading that race. And talent management is a massive portion of that, the people you have around you. But what was that experience like? Describe your journey in building that business. You woke up in the morning. What did you think, your thoughts?
Well, it's amazing. I don't know if you know, the recent Arthur Goldstruck has just sent out the recent SME survey results.
Yes.
And one of the key findings is that the most successful entrepreneurs or businesses that grow and survive are those that people have come out of some kind of a working background and have a knowledge. So like you said, when you come off a foundation, you can't actually describe the things that you've learned there, but it really does help to start to position your business right from the get-go.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I found when I started my business, when you're working for someone in the corporate, you wake up on a Saturday, you're excited, you wake on a Monday and you think, oh no, it's Monday.
You just want to cry.
Exactly. In your own business, whether you wake up on a Monday or a Saturday, you feel exactly the same, because I mean, I'm a bit of a commitment phobic. I'm not married, I don't get into lifts, I don't like to sort of be confined. And I found working for other people really confines you. They want you in a certain place from 8 to 5. I just wanted to be able to sort of draw outside of the lines, and you think that you're starting your own business to work less hours, and you actually land up working double the hours, but you actually enjoy it more. So yeah, those initial years, I look back on what I did and I can see a lot of mistakes I made, and I often use those now to help mentor startups to be able to say, be careful of this and look out for that. But I started with a business partner, and we started from our home. We moved to a very small office, and yeah, from there now we've built a team and have a privilege of providing a lot of people with work. So, but yeah, those initial days, long hours, a lot of uphill, and but yeah, a lot of learnings.
How large is your team now?
Our team, well, I've got spread across a number of businesses, but altogether probably employ around 25 people. 25
people.
Yeah.
And those people, did they come on board? What were you looking for when you identified those people to come on board?
Look, Naz, I find building a team is the hardest part of business. But, if you invest in a team, you build a team, your team builds your business. So you don't actually build your business. To scale and to multiply, you've got to have a team. So what I find is I always employ for character first and then for skill. You've obviously got to have the skill to do the job. If you're coming for an interview as a software developer, you have to be able to do development. But I find integrity, all those values, when you're building a team, if you get one person that doesn't align with the rest of the values of the business, it's very difficult. In a big business where you've got 500 people, if you've got one troublemaker, the impact is not that large.
Yeah.
If you've got 3 people or 5 people and you've got someone in there who's not aligned and is causing trouble, it impacts the whole team. So I find that choosing the right people, rather wait, take more time and get the right person than grab who you think you need somebody now, and you'll end up taking on the wrong person. The smaller the business, the more important the hiring. So especially those startup days. So I've learned a lot around who to partner with, who not to partner with. And the key thing for me is I know what my strengths are and I know what my weaknesses are. You've got to employ for your weaknesses somebody that is as strong in your strength as you are in your weakness. So yeah, I mean, we've had the privilege of really building a strong team. We love coming to work. We love what we do. And yeah, there's just a good vibe there,
It sounds amazing. That's, I think everybody who does their best work is because they're pushed on or cheered on by the people around them who are vested in the same kind of vision or interest, which is absolutely right. I've had my own talent management issues in the business that I run, and it's been a real eye-opener as a first-time employer, so to speak.
You think it's the easiest part, but it's the hardest.
It isn't, and you try to think, well, how am I supposed to grow these people? And you want to bring out the greatness in people because they all have that. So it's quite interesting to hear you describe your journey with building a team like that. But when you started out the business, what kind of resources did you need, and how did you exploit those resources, number one? And number two, repurpose them, because this is important for all startup entrepreneurs. They don't always know how to exploit the available resources or even see them as resources.
So I think you have to have a look. It's obviously very linked to cash flow, and very linked to the revenue within the business. But I found that for me, it was good to be able to do as many of those positions myself as I could initially, to put in the right systems, the right sort of processes, the right understandings that I wanted to get. Of course, we're in a very skilled environment, and I'm not a software developer, so I had to choose my software developers very carefully. So what I did initially was I contracted out, so I could get a feel. So I would get a specific piece of work, and I would get a number of different developers working on them, and then I'd start to realize who gels with me, who do I enjoy working with, who's producing good work, and then slowly start taking people on. Because the difficulty when you take someone on permanently is if they're not the right fit, it's very difficult, especially in the South African climate, to be able to gently show them that there's the door. Exactly. Yeah. But one of the mistakes I made is I didn't look after the financial side of my business properly in the beginning. You're kind of running after sales, running after operations, and like you said, I was trying to spread myself over the business and take on partners that were better operationally than I am. I'm not a good manager, but I'm a good inspirer. So for my team, we've got fantastic managers, those that make sure that people are doing things on time, the work's going out, the customers are being responded to. I'm someone who likes to go out, break open new ground, come in, inspire the team, tell them what's going on. But that doesn't help when you actually need deadlines met, etc. So just to answer your question, the initial part of I had a look at what am I not good at, what does the business need, and I actually took on a partner to start with. Initially, sometimes you don't have the finance, so to give away some equity to bring on a strong partner is helpful. But I always say be careful of partnering. It's almost as it's like choosing a spouse.
It's like a marriage.
It's like a marriage, and it can. I've had a couple of difficult experiences. But it's also taught me about when you come into a business and a partnership, you need to come in knowing what the exit strategy is. Because if you don't talk about that up front, even though you hope it never happens, when the time comes that people need to separate, there's no boundaries, there's no protocol, nothing is set in place. So yes, I did a lot of the work myself. You've got to be prepared to make the tea and wear all the different hats in the business. But as it starts to grow, I think you just get a feel for the right people. You do make a few mistakes, but on the software development side, I chose a very strong technical manager, and I made sure that he interviewed people and understood their technical skill. I then interviewed that person and made sure that the values, when you're interviewing someone, you can ask questions about their current boss or work situations, and you help people get relaxed, and they start saying things that actually start revealing who they really are. Saying negative things about their boss, which is related to their own character, etc. And then you understand who you should and shouldn't employ. Yeah.
Some of the toughest challenges you would have faced in the business. So I want to get an understanding of that, and also how you managed to navigate those. Because the challenges can very easily become the death knell of your business, where if they're massive enough in your own mind, then they immediately signal that you should stop working for yourself and work for somebody else. Which, if you're a true entrepreneur, you will overcome that.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think people think that sometimes it's an uphill climb, but sometimes it's so steep you're climbing back on yourself. So there are. You can tell so many stories. Over this past 11 years, and I think of some of the difficult month ends and those things. But I think my two major challenges, the one has been related to exactly what we just chatted about, building the right team, and at times I've had to retrench people. We've gone through some lean times in some of our businesses. We've over invested on the innovation side and haven't taken care of client, bringing in enough client business. And it's absolutely, it's very, very, very difficult environment to sit as the owner of the business and have to sit with people who've got families. Fortunately, every person that I think every person that I've had to retrench over the 11 years at any time, I've always managed to come alongside them and help them find other opportunities. But retrenching and working with staff is very difficult. And then, of course, cash flow. You can have a fantastic contract. You've got a 5.8 million rand contract. The money's coming in 3 months, but you've got to do the work now and bridge your staff before then.
Now.
Exactly. So I think cash flow management. Startups always watch revenue. Seasoned entrepreneurs know that cash flow is where the challenge is. And so I think the the main challenge for most entrepreneurs out there, and I can say for myself, has been learning to bridge and to make sure that we can stretch the money over the periods where where things are leaner, where we know that contracts are coming in later. Yeah, cash flow is king, but cash flow is also the entrepreneur's nightmare.
The absolute nightmare. It wakes you up in the middle of the night, and I think you start getting the panic attacks as
because you've got the staff on your heart, haven't you? It's not so much whether you're going to, obviously you want to get paid at the end of the month, but as an entrepreneur, you often have to take the knock. But when you I take my team very seriously and the provisions for their family. And if I'm ever in a situation where I realize that cash flow, we're in a difficult space, it's my responsibility to make sure that I can navigate through that period and that they don't get impacted at all. So it's very real.
Darlene, you've developed two distinct offerings for the SME market. One is SMEasy, and the other is FinFind. And I'm sure there are more products in the future or currently being developed. But how is this uniquely positioned for the SME market? So tell us more about those products.
Sure. Well, just going back to what I said earlier, that financial management wasn't my strength, and I didn't bring in a strong finance. Often you can't afford a strong finance person early in the business.
So how do you manage that?
Well, that's the thing, exactly. So my first two failings that I told you about was really to do with bad financial management, where I landed up sort of not taking my slips to an accountant every 4 to 6 months. And by the time I got to them, they said I owed the VAT man X, but now I'd already spent that money on paying salaries because I didn't have line of sight of my cash flow. Yeah. And so I thought to myself, I need to create a system that I can use, because I try to use some of the accounting systems out there and they all use words like debit, credit, journal, allocation, which is a lot like Chinese to me.
I completely agree with that.
So, you can be good at bringing in the money, but you can't reconcile it, and those systems weren't helping me. So we started off with a concept of how do we build a system that entrepreneurs understand, but that gives the accountant what they need to be able to do your financials. So a simple system that says, I bought this from there for that much, I paid with my own money because I knew I had no money in the business on that day. How do I put that into a system in plain English, and that system actually produces the accounting? And that's what SMEasy is. It was a concept that we came up with probably about 6 or 7 years ago. We've raised nearly 18 million rand in venture capital to develop it into a scalable product, and it's now competing with Pastel. So it's really for entrepreneurs who don't understand accounting, startups, sole props, micro businesses, small businesses, merchants, just people turning over less than 10 million with about less than 15 staff who don't understand accounting. Their finances are in a mess. That's what SMEasy is for. Then FinFind just takes that a bit further. Most small businesses then need to access finance. Where do you go to access finance? Who are the lenders? What do you need to have ready for the lenders? So we've built a product that both of them are obviously accessible via mobile as well. Yes. And what FinFind does, it teaches you where to go to find finance. It does a readiness test to show you where your challenges are. It gives you tools to help you to overcome those, links you with accountants and business advisors. And we've partnered with USAID and the DTR on that product. So very exciting. Going to be launched by the Small Business Minister in 2 months' time.
That's incredible.
Very exciting.
Two very big wins you've just mentioned that I want to highlight. You said that you were able to secure funding or venture capital funding into the business for SMEasy for 6 to 8 million rand?
18 million.
Right? 18 million rand. And then also now the Small Business Ministry is going to launch FinFind. Yeah. These are incredible wins for your business. How did you manage to build the product or push that enough to get to that level?
It's been, I think, we've now built 9 products, so these are 2 of them that we're talking about. And I think SMEasy was the product we learned, we made the most mistakes on, because you can do what's called...
It's good learnings from that.
Absolutely. You can have like a lean process. But SMEasy initially, I was a real greenhorn. I didn't know how to raise venture capital. So to start off, you use your own money and you do what's called bootstrapping. Yeah. So I got to what we call a proof of concept, where I could actually demo something that could show the concept. And we won in the end of 2010, SA Innovation Entrepreneur for the concept. And then a venture capital took note and said, look, they were willing to come in. The first investment was 2.5 million rand, and we started to build a scalable product. And from then, have just started to. But sitting in front of a venture capitalist, most of what they're looking at, often 2 things: the jockey, who are you? Can you sell the product? Are you properly invested? Do you have the passion? Do you have the knowledge? And second of all, is there a market? Because no market, no business. You can have what you think is an idea that you really want to take on, right. But if there's not a need for it, the venture capitalist knows that they're not going to make money. So, Yeah, I've had my, I've raised venture capital now 5 times on separate companies, and it is I think once you start, like anything, you make your mistakes and you learn. But I love coaching entrepreneurs that have got a great idea that's going to go and sit before a panel, and just those nuances that you have to raise.
To be able to pitch your business correctly.
Absolutely, pitching is huge. The 3-minute pitch, the 10-minute pitch, the 20-minute pitch. Like, you've got to know what needs to come out. There's some key things venture capitalists are looking for, but mainly it's the jockey and the market and the differentiator. There's always competition. The worst thing you can say when a venture capitalist asks you, what about competition? You say there's no competition.
Absolutely.
It's the wrong answer. There's always competition out there, but what are you differentiated that you're going to actually do something different in the market than that product?
And it's I'm glad you said that, because this workshop that I attended recently, and the mentor there was speaking about how you compete in the market, especially in the service and the creative industries. In our creative industry with digital, it's so much more it's so much easier to get caught on being able to differentiate on the wrong thing, which is price, and then service to the customer, which should be mandatory anyway.
Yeah.
And so the mentor advised that in that case, you will differentiate in value. And I'm trying to align that now exactly with what you said, because I think that's the only way, especially in the tech, because tech has become so much that it's the underlying force in most industries.
It's the medium for anything, isn't it?
For anything.
Yeah.
I think the top 3 industries right now that are being dictated almost by tech is the finance, retail, and banking industries, or I think medical industries rather. Okay. And so when I'm listening to you, I also want the listeners to take away from the fact that you've built a product to address a problem, so you use the tech, but also you're trying to understand the value in that. You're not, and your successes come from the fact that other people are also invested in that vision. So the solution that you've now presented to the SME market is something that can only drive us forward. I'm trying to find an alignment with all of these things. Can you help us understand that a bit further?
Yeah. I think the key for me is everyone has a different value prop, but I think my value proposition is genuine, is in innovation. So not everyone, it doesn't have to be innovative, but for me, innovation is really just finding a solution to a problem. So when I failed because of financial management and because I was behind in my accounts, I started asking, I was part of the Chamber of Commerce, asking other businesses, and I started finding 90% of entrepreneurs understood how to make money, but they didn't understand how to reconcile it. They didn't have the money for a bookkeeper. Yeah. So there was a massive market. So for me, the differentiator there was, while there were other products in the market, they weren't actually addressing the real issue, which was finance literacy. And so, it's difficult, to speak across all those different sectors. It's quite difficult in the space of time we have. But when you have a look at differentiation, I think you've got to sit back and be honest with yourself. You might be on a certain path, but when you look at it, it's not differentiated. There isn't a specific value prop, and often I find you need to look alongside that industry. So, for instance, in the gold rush, everyone thought that the value was in panning the gold and finding the gold. Yeah. But actually, some of the ones that got the richest were the ones selling the pans, because everyone needed a pan to pan the gold. And I think we need to look laterally always in a market that we're in. And if we're struggling, and as you say, you never want to let price only be the differentiator, because you're going to drive things so low that your margins are so thin it's not going to be worth it. Service, as you say, should be a standard offering. Then you need to have a look at, where's the differentiator alongside? Is there something in a parallel opportunity, or looking laterally at the market you're going into? And just think to yourself, solve a problem. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're solving a problem, you're going to find you differentiated.
Solve a problem from which you hear enough
and
complaints.
Very logically. Every day I'm having this problem. Well, sheepers, everyone else is having it. Now think of a way to solve that. Now that is a value proposition.
So is that, would you say, a direct answer to addressing maybe obviously the unemployment rate that we have, the increased unemployment rate that we have in the country, but also is it a way to, how would you recommend or advise that we address the startup culture in South Africa? So are we doing enough to build entrepreneurial aspirations in people in the country?
Very interesting question. It's one of my passions. I think that to a certain extent, obviously things have been done, but my concern is that we've got a very high unemployment rate. And I think what we're doing is we're focusing everyone, sort of the whole base of the pyramid, everyone that's unemployed, and trying to make entrepreneurs out of them. This is kind of the mentality that's coming across, both from the public and the private sector. Yeah. But I think what we have to understand is not everyone is an entrepreneur. I'm a firm believer of that. People say you can teach people to be an entrepreneur. that's not my philosophy. I believe that certain people are entrepreneurs and others of those need to be employed by entrepreneurs. So I really believe if we're looking to employ 5 million people in this country, we need to develop 1 million businesses. And I'm not just saying start 1 million businesses. I'm talking about businesses that survive and grow and go on to be very successful. And then the other 4 million get employed by those 1 million, and now you've got a very sustainable economy that's growing. Yeah. So we need to get back into unemployed youth and the message coming out from the public and private sector to say that, we've shifted now from saying that, you're almost frowned upon if you're looking for a job. Everyone must, be an entrepreneur. I think come alongside entrepreneurs, recognize in your community who the entrepreneurs are, get alongside them and take your skill, because it's probably very different to theirs. Partner together and actually create those 1 million businesses. So yes, things are being done, but I mean, if I had the opportunity, any of us were given the magic wand to do something, I would really say let the money that's being invested for small business be put on those or be invested in those 1 million businesses that actually will survive, because 86% of startups in this country fail, and of those 14% that survive, only half are left in year 3. So 7 in 100 are actually surviving. We need to say no, let's find 1 million entrepreneurs, take all that funding and back them, develop them, grow them, and then let the 4 million that are unemployed be employed by them as small business, and I really think that'll change the economy.
So it's a lot of skills transfer that's happening, knowledge transfer that needs to go on.
Yes, and just saying to people, it's not just about 5 million entrepreneurs. It's about 1 million entrepreneurs and 4 million jobs created. They're sustainable jobs where you can take the skills that you've got and lend them into that environment.
Have you been directly involved in any policy development with our current government?
No, look, I wouldn't say policy development. I think we are sitting with some of the teams. I don't know if there's a out of the Office of the Presidency, there's a program that's been developed called the HRDC, the Human Resources Development Council, and they're looking all across education, right from pre-primary, preschool, right through to entrepreneurship. And we've been involved on the entrepreneurship side and being able to speak into some of their, the forums that they've put together to have a look at ideas. But I wouldn't say directly into policy. But hopefully products like FinFind start to make an impact in the market. What FinFind's going to do, it's going to be offered free to small business, backed by the government. So people are going to come in, put their details in there, find out if they're ready. They're going to get linked with lenders, because we've got all the lenders in South Africa that are in the back end of the product. Now what we're going to be sitting with is a lot of data. That data we're going to aggregate and hand over to government so that they can start to position their programs and their development programs related to where the holes in that data are. So I think in that way we're going to start to be able to shift, making sure that CEDA are doing programs that actually impact, where the difficulties are. Because without data, everyone's just guessing at where the problems are. So hopefully we're going to start making a big impact there.
Darlene, what have been some of the most notable achievements in your career? Because I want to go back a little bit and just remember that you now run 4 tech companies. 4 tech companies?
That's right, yeah.
You've developed distinct key offerings for the SME market. These are backed by some very, very great names, including the public sector. The Small Business Ministry is going to launch FinFind soon, in the next 2 months, you say. These are just incredible, I think, achievements for a business. What are some of the other achievements we haven't investigated?
Yeah, I suppose, when you say achievements, the first thing you think of is awards, and I think the company's won a number of those. But to me, those are things that you hang up on a wall, and a couple of notable achievements. I think the first one is having had this idea of SMEasy. Like you get this idea, there's a problem, and 7 years later, you've got a product that's in the market competing with bigger products like that. The whole team can sit back and say that's quite miraculous. You take a concept right through its design, its development, its different processes, you raise finance in that. So for me, having done that once, I have the confidence to know I can do that many more times. But that was a notable achievement just for me and for the team. The other thing I think is that 7 years ago, we started focusing on this, what we call the base of the pyramid market, unemployment, small business development, when it wasn't something that a lot of people were looking at from a product point of view. And so I think notably, and it happened more by mistake than design, but so be it, that's how things...
Aren't those some of the best successful stories?
I think they are.
By accident and not by design.
Exactly, but we've landed up notably arriving in a place where we've got product that is needed by a volume opportunity in terms of business, and people are willing to pay for those products, both in the private and public sector. So I think positionally it's quite, I lie my bed at night and think, gee, that's just amazing. It's a miracle, that, it's like we've got the candy and now there's a whole lot of hungry children. But again, I say much more, I think, give God the glory for that than anything that we've done. But it is for us, it's something that we celebrate.
But this is it, right? And people will look at you now and say you're lucky. But it's been a lot of preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah, I always say that the fine line between insanity and genius is success. So this side of success, everyone says, she's insane, don't do it. As soon as you're successful, absolute genius. Same person, same ideas, same money issues, etc., etc. But yeah, success is that determiner. So, but I just want to say to entrepreneurs out there, it's not the cleverest who succeed, but those who hang on the longest. So if you've got a dream in your heart, you believe there's a market, keep persevering, you'll cross that line of success into that, what other people say is genius.
And that's it, your final words of advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, to make sure that they follow through. The follow through is important.
Follow through. Perseverance, determination, commitment, which are all the same thing really, coming from the same place. If you have a look, it's the number one quality of most successful entrepreneurs. If you look at anyone across any sector and you study any of the stories, you'll find that to be able to push through when the going gets tough, everyone's, there's no money, people have sort of scattered, and you've got a dream and a passion, and you really believe that if you can keep going up that hill, perseverance, being tenacious, you've got to be very tenacious. Again, not the cleverest who succeed, but those of us who hang on the longest. Yeah, and hang in there, hang on, push through, resilience, yeah.
Darlene, it's been such a pleasure to have you in studio and to inspire me once again. I've heard your story, but just to talk to you, sit face to face and talk about your challenges and how you've overcome them, it's just been an incredible journey for me in the last 20 odd minutes, I would say.
Great. It's been lovely and nice to do it face to face, and done radio interviews, so it's great. Thank you and good luck.
I hope to get you back here to talk about FinFind once the Small Business Ministry has launched it. Yeah. That's going to be an interesting one, because I think our viewers or aspiring entrepreneurs will want to know how they're going to access the funding that can drive their businesses ahead. So thank you very much.
Maybe just to say a last note that just before it's launched, there you can go to a website and put your details in, and it will inform you when the launch is happening.
Okay, wonderful.
So can give you the finfindeasy.co.za. Fin, F-I-N, find, F-I-N-D, easy. Finfindeasy.co.za. There's a video there that the DTI and USAID have put together to show what FinFind is about, and there's a place to put your email address and your name, and then you'll be informed through the Small Business Ministry that it's being launched. So you can get in and make sure you get access to finance.
Excellent, wonderful. Good. Thank you so much for that.
And your pleasure.
It's finfindeasy.co.za. Make sure that you go and register your business. You'll be given a notification by the Small Business Ministry of the launch, and then your business is up there, so you can easily access finance or opportunities there around. Thank you so much, Darlene, for joining us as our Successful Entrepreneur of the Week. We've been finding all our best and most inspiring female entrepreneurs, founders and experts. So there's many more to come. When we come back from the break, we will be talking to Vani Mudli, who heads up the Durban Chambers Businesswomen's Forum, and she'll be telling us all about that.